So here we are on this Thanksgiving weekend in the middle of a global pandemic. Not able to move around as we would have in years gone by, having to wear masks to protect ourselves and to protect others from catching and spreading the virus. Missing our family and friends who we haven't seen in ages. And in some cases being sick ourselves or knowing someone who is. In some cases being out of work or knowing someone who is. Or maybe even having severely reduced hours and income. Having to rely on government assistance for bills to pay. And trying to keep things going somehow. Again, it may be us or it may be somebody else that we know. There is a general fear amongst a number of people of what is going on in the world and all of the unknown that is around us. In the midst of this, are we to be thankful? Thankful for what? Yes, we can claim that there are others in the world who have it worse than us. Maybe people around us, people in different parts of the cities or country that we live in. Maybe people in different parts of the world. Maybe people that we don't even know, but we know of. However, when we're in these moments that are so difficult for ourselves, and the weight of everything that is going on in the world and in our lives begins to weigh us down, knowing that somebody else is worse off becomes hollow comfort. In today's reading, we have a group of people who don't have it too easy either. They've been wandering for 40 or so years in the desert, moving around from place to place, having just enough food. And even with only enough food, they had to survive being chased by the people they used to live with. And by the time we catch up to them in the story today, there are some who are experiencing a fear that they are going to die in this wilderness, that they will not see the promised land and the end of the hardship that they're in. Imagine if God had given them all of that to suffer through, and then threw them into a weekend of Thanksgiving. How thankful do you think they would be? Well, they're not thankful. Moses has gone off to talk to God, and they're not willing to wait for Moses to return. They demand that Aaron do something for them, make a god for them whom they can worship. And here's what God thinks of that. The Lord said to Moses, "Go down at once. Your people whom you brought up out of the land of Egypt have acted perversely. They have been quick to turn aside from the way that I commanded them. They have cast for themselves an image of a calf and worshipped it and sacrificed to it and said, 'These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt.' The Lord said to Moses, 'I have seen this people, how stiff-necked they are. Let me alone, so that my wrath may burn hot against them, and I may consume them. And of you I will make a great nation. To say that God isn't happy is an understatement. God is ready to reset the world again. God has done it before, and God is ready to do it again. God's people aren't thankful, and God knows it, and God's upset. Even God doesn't appear to be all that thankful at this point. I would think that God is not very thankful that God picked this group to be God's people. Moses, though, turns the situation around. Rather than saying to God's people, "Why aren't you thankful?" or saying to God, "Why aren't you thankful?" Moses actually helps God reframe this situation. But Moses implored the Lord his God and said, "O Lord, why does your wrath burn hot against your people, whom you brought out of the land of Egypt with a great power and with a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians say, 'It was with evil intent that he brought them out to kill them in the mountains and to consume them from the face of the earth'? Turn from your fierce wrath. Change your mind and do not bring disaster on your people. Remember Abraham and Isaac and Israel, your servants, how you swore to them by your own self, saying to them, 'I will multiply your descendants like the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have promised I will give to your descendants, and they shall inherit it forever.'" I wonder if that isn't part of our lesson this Thanksgiving weekend. There is so much that I wish was different about this weekend. And in so many ways, I know that it really can't be. However, reframing the weekend based on the entirety of my life, there are things for me to be thankful for. Not just for me over and above someone else, but for me based on my own life history, based on my own faith history. God's fierce love for us is extremely passionate, as it was for the Israelites, as it was demonstrated just a week ago. Now, that passion caused some conflict between God's expectations and the reality of the behavior of the Israelites. And I would say that that same passion caused some conflict between the Israelites' expectations of God and the reality of God's behavior. So this Thanksgiving weekend, even in the midst of longing for something different, let us give thanks for the blessings that are part of our life history, part of our faith history. If we can't find those blessings, may God provide us with Moses in the face of one of our family and friends. If we have people we know who cannot find the blessings in their own lives, may we be like Moses to them and help them reframe and see the blessings that are there. For God's love for us is so fiercely passionate that we need to be able and willing to share that love with everyone we meet. Our God shares it with us, and for that we are thankful. Amen.